you say also in the beginning, you know, that parents are really stressed out. They have a lot to do. And why should they add one more thing? Why should they start reading the Bible to their kids?
Well, I think for me, a defining moment, my mom is here, my dad's passed away, but those bedtime moments were huge in my development. And I found myself remembering Bible Answer Man times with dad and stories with mom. And we could ask anything and we could talk and process. And now the roles are reversed. I'm the dad, and I'm like, okay, Bible Answer Man. I'm like, you know what? Ask your mom. I don't know that one. But I can't remember the Old Testament. But realizing now that as a 37-year-old man processing with my kids, actually, the sneaky part is that I benefit too in those moments of decompressing and kind of sharing a moment. And kids ask questions where you go, it's kind of a good point. Maybe I should know the answer to that. Or you read this and you're like, wow, I kind of forgot that story was in the Bible. And the kids are like, Dad, that's good. Tell us more. And you're like, okay, I kind of forgot that one. So I think now as a dad, those bedtime moments, which is kind of how we architected the book with the idea that, you know, at the very least fostering the idea that an uncle and aunt or a grandmother could read this with their grandkids. And I think the grandmother will be just as inspired and encouraged as she reads these ancient stories to her grandkids and goes, wow, this is good for me too. And that's been my experience.
But what difference do you think it makes in the life of a child, in your own life, to be read the Bible, to be raised in a faith? Because there are so many different faiths. But what impact do you think it has on children, on family life, to have a shared faith?
Yeah, I know as a mom, you spend so much time taking care of your children's bodies, just feeding them, clothing them, making sure they don't run out into the street and get ran over. Feels overwhelming. And I know sometimes you don't think about what about their spirit, the core of who they really are that makes them an individual human being. And what I think spirituality and particularly Jesus so impacts our kids with is that we believe that our children were created in the image of God for a purpose. And what that gives them such a solid foundation for is identity. That I am who I am, not by accident, even if it was my parents' accident, but that I am who I am because of who God made me to be. And that gives such a solid foundation for any human being to walk out the rest of their life, knowing that they are made on purpose for purpose by a loving God.
Yeah, and I dream. I mean, I dream of the country that I live in. I dream of children by the millions being told these ancient stories and learning about purpose and identity and meaning and creation. And I'm a firm believer that as we raise up the next generation, our country can change and maybe even our world. Maybe the most important part of the day in America is bedtime. And where little brains are being shaped with values and ideas that will help them be productive citizens and maybe dreamers themselves to bring about change.